To provide better worksheet documentation and make certain kinds of formulas easier to write, you can use what are called range names. In other words, you can give a name to a cell or a group of cells, and then use those names in formulas. In this particular worksheet, we're about to write a formula in column J. It's going to calculate a new salary. Everybody's going to get a 2.91% increase. There are standard ways to do this using absolute addresses, but the use of a range name negates the need for absolute addresses, and it provides some documentation. Let's give this cell a name, cell M1. As we click on this, then go to the left of the formula bar into an area called the name box. You'll want to click the drop arrow to see if there are any other range names already in place. In this case, there are not. Range names cannot begin with numbers. They should not look like cell addresses. And you cannot use spaces in them. You can use underscore. You can shift between upper and lowercase to simulate the look of words. I'm going to call this percent increase. Percent underscore increase. And press enter. That cell now has a name. When we write a formula in J2 to simply calculate the new salary, we'll be using that cell reference, but we'll be using its name, and we won't have to type it either. Equal H2 times, and I'll click on cell M1, and look what happens in the formula. The name pops in automatically if it exists. And then we'll complete the formula by adding on H2 to come up with the correct answer. And then copy this down the column by double-clicking. So every one of these cells, for example, this one, as I double-click it, refers to percent increase. That's cell M1. When you encounter a range name and aren't sure what it refers to, one quick way to find out would be to go to the name box, click the drop arrow, highlight the name in question, and when you click it, you will jump to that location in the worksheet automatically. And it might be in a different worksheet too. So that's the cell that has the name. And of course, we just created it, but at other times you don't always know that. It's quite possible that in this worksheet, we might also want to refer to other portions of it by name too. And there are times when you can use the adjacent labels. We've got labels here sitting on top of all the columns. Now this list might grow, it might shrink. We want to be able to refer to all of the statuses or all the salaries or all the years in different kinds of formulas. So in this case, we'll select columns A through J. And then on the Formulas tab in the ribbon, use Create from Selection. We want to create names from the top row, not the left column, so we'll uncheck left column, click OK. So what have we done? We've now used the word status, for example, to refer to all the data below it, the word salary to refer to all the data below it. So in a different context at a different time, if, for example, we wanted to know the average years of service here, we can type equal average, left parenthesis, and as we type Y for years, we see all the functions that begin with Y, but we don't want those here. We want range names, and they appear in the list too. Here's the name called years right there. Click it, press Tab, and so we have our answer. Similarly, what's the total for the new salaries? Equal sum, or we could have used auto sum. Now we can simply start typing N. There it is right there. New salary, click it, tab it into place, enter. We've got our total there. And we could use this with other functions as well, maybe a COUNTIF to figure out how many people have a certain status. So we can use those names here. Now, different scenario off to the right here. Maybe we simply want to refer to this data as a unit. And so we'll simply select it and give it a name. How about Jan-June data? So once again, using the name box to the left of the formula bar, click the drop arrow. And now, of course, we've got quite a few range names that we just created quickly by using those top row labels. Now we're going to create one called JAN underscore JUN underscore data, Jan-June data. And so if we want to write a formula over here that, for example, calculates the average, equal average, left parenthesis, I'll type J. There we see it right there. Click it that way, then press Tab and enter. Another way to get to these range names is, this time I'll do median, left parenthesis, press the F3 key to get a list of range names, and we can just paste the name. There's the one we want right there. Click OK, it's in place, and now we have the median. Again, referring to that group name Jan-June data. There will be times when you don't want to use the range name anymore. You don't need it. And so you can, by way of the Formulas tab, go to Name Manager. It shows you the different range names. Maybe we don't want to use June data anymore. It's right here, so we could delete it. Now, that is going to cause that formula to no longer work, but we don't care because we do want to get rid of it. We delete this range name. Are we sure? Okay. Then click Close, and these two formulas don't work anymore because we got rid of the range name. And it's not a bad idea when you're working with strange data or a new worksheet from someone else who's sent you information, just to check out to see if there are any range names in place. When used judiciously, they provide a great source of documentation, and they do simplify the creation of certain kinds of formulas.